Welcome once again to Commander by Danon. Today we continue to build decks led by the legendary creatures from the Final Fantasy set. Leading today's deck is the Master Striker of the Scions, Ida. Sorry, I meant Lyse Hext. Also, and I know it's annoying to keep hearing this, but statistically if I don't ask you to like and subscribe, the video gets fewer subscribers. Lyse Hext is a 3-mana 2/2 legendary human rebel monk with prowess. She also makes it so non-creature spells we cast cost 1 less to cast. Additionally, as long as we've cast 2 or more non-creature spells this turn, Lyse has double strike. Okay, quick inside joke for people who don't know. When we first meet Lyse in Final Fantasy XIV, she introduces herself as Ida. It isn't until much later, around the start of Stormblood, that we discover her secret. You see, Lyse and her older sister Ida fled Alamigo after it fell to the Garlean Empire. Alamigo had been weakened by a bloody civil war and was easy pickings for the expansionist empire. After her sister died, Lyse took her sister's name as a way to mask her own grief. This way, she could at least pretend that her sister still lived. Eventually, when Papalimos sacrificed himself to save everyone and stop Shinryu, he told her to walk her own path. After that, Lyse took off her mask and started going by her proper name. The Stormblood expansion is the story of her fighting to get her home back from the Garlean Empire. Lyse has been forged in the fires of grief and loss and has come out stronger for it. Eventually, she is chosen to lead the rebellion, and eventually winds up as one of the leaders of the newly freed Alamigo. In-game, her class is Monk, or Pugilist if you want to get technical. And one of my favorite cutscenes is her having a sparring match with the Warrior of Light. Well, technically this was from the trailer, but it did happen in the story, so it's kind of a cutscene. So, looking at her card, I am leaning towards a tempo deck. We're not exactly a Spellslinger deck, but we can storm off and kill a player. Also, I wanted to make this an ultra-budget deck. We're not quite $50, but we're close. But before we get to our deck list, a quick word from our sponsor, Ultimate Guard. I know I'm sponsored, so you may not believe me, but Ultimate Guard katanas are the best sleeves on the planet. They have gorgeous colors like these black ones, are durable and long-lasting, and an absolute joy to shuffle. Let Ultimate Guard protect your cards with katanas. Pick yours up today at your local game store, or order it on Amazon. Link down below. In order to build a functional commander deck, you need lots of different pieces, which is why I try to rely on my handy-dandy checklist. 50 mana sources, usually split between 37 lanes and 13 pieces of ramp, 10 pieces of card advantage, 8 to 10 pieces of spot removal, 2 to 3 board wipes, 2 pieces of graveyard hate, and 1 sudden I win card. Oh, one more quick announcement before we get started. I'm currently streaming over on Gaming with Danon as well as Twitch. It'll mostly be Final Fantasy XIV, but you're more than welcome to pop in and talk about Commander. Honestly, about half my streams are talking about manga, anime, or Commander. Our land base consists of Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Glacial Floodplain, Idyllic Beachfront, Prairie Stream, Adarkar Wastes, Port Town, Temple of Enlightenment, Azorius Chancery, Tranquil Cove, Sedgire Refuge, Skybridge Towers, Meandering River, Coastal Tower, Scavenger Grounds, Myriad Landscape, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, 7 Plains, and 7 Islands. Now, I've mentioned this on previous videos, but I feel it should be mentioned again. A basic is great because there's not a lot of hate against it, lots of ways to search your library for one, and they're cheap. But an Evolving Wilds into an island puts the island into play tapped. Sure, next turn you can tap it for blue mana, but that island will only ever tap for blue mana. But a card like Meandering River will also come into play tapped, but the next turn you can tap it for white or blue. When you're on a budget, these are some things to keep in mind. For mana ramp, we've got Alize Levelure, Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, Talisman of Progress, Azorius Signet, Marble Diamond, Sky Diamond, Mind Stone, Felwar Stone, Thought Vessel, Decanter of Endless Water, Chromatic Lantern, and Gilded Lotus. Mostly mana rocks, but remember, our commander has Prowess, which is why I didn't bother running Solemn Simulacrum or Burnished Heart. Our card advantage package consists of Archmage Emeritus, Archmage of Runes, Alpha No Levelier, Enter the Enigma, Shelter, Slip Through Space, Shadow Rift, Feather of Flight, Combat Tutorial, Cartouche of Knowledge, Rebellious Strike, Zaffron Shapecraft, Frantic Search, Opt, Brainstorm, Preordain, Ponder, Distortion Strike, Defiant Strike, Leap, Deliberate, Consider, Guided Strike, Curate, Focus the Mind, Brain Surge, and Quick Study. If I weren't on a strict budget, I would have included Teferi's Ageless Insight and Alhammarret's Archive, both of which go great in a deck that casts a bunch of cantrips. For interaction and spot removal, we've got Commit Memory, Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, Disenchant, Destroy Evil, Generous Gift, Negate, Counterspell, Keep Safe, Reprieve, Unwind, Remand, An Offer You Can't Refuse, and Confound. Some spot removal as well as some counterspells, as expected in our color identity. For board wipes, we've got Washout and Aetherize. Farewell is another good option and doubles as Graveyard Hate, but it was outside our budget. The core of our deck consists of Astrologian's Planisphere, Hraesvelgar of the First Brood, Monastery Mentor, Aligned Heart, Taigam Master Opportunist, and Talran Sky Summoner. Supporting our plan, we've also got Adamant Will, God's Willing, Center Soul, Flare of Faith, and Tempest Technique. Wanted some extra ways to protect our commander. Now that we have our deck list, let's compare it to our checklist. 45 mana sources, but between 32 lands and 13 pieces of rain. Low, I know, but it's okay because we have 27 pieces of card advantage. Remember, for every 2 cantrips you're running in your deck, you can cut a land, but you only want to do this if your cantrips serve dual purpose, like pumping up your commander or creating tokens. 14 pieces of interaction, 2 board wipes, 2 pieces of Graveyard Hate in Commit Memory and Scavenger Grounds, 1 sudden I win card in Tempest Technique. Let's run some math on Tempest Technique and our commander. Remember, Prowess doesn't trigger on copies, but Magecraft does. So if Archmage Emeritus is on board, Tempest Technique will draw us a ton of cards. Anyway, let's assume Tempest Technique is the 3rd spell cast on a turn. That means it is copied twice. So 3 copies will all attach to our commander. Assuming that the previous 2 spells were non-creature spells, Lyse will have 3 Prowess triggers, so she'll be a 5/5 with Double Strike. The 3 copies of Tempest Technique will each give our commander +3/+3, bringing her to a 12/12 Double Striker. If one of the spells we cast earlier gave her evasion or made her unblockable, that should end the game right there. Well, for one of our opponents at least. Probably the Simic player. They know what they did. Are you building a Lyse Hext commander deck? What about a deck led by one of the other legendary creatures from Final Fantasy? Leave a comment below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cutestuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. You can have a video made or just ask for help building or tuning a deck list. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Muffins, Marcus, Brett, Roxy, Alix, Borgie, Nazwin, Congo, Robert, Pye, Kazaris, Patrick, Tiz, Art, Richard Sint, Boomy, Osira, Justin, Golden Walker, Ernesto Midge, and Captain Hammer. You guys are awesome. I post new Commander Deck videos every weekday, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of new videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Danon.